So right now, what I would like to do is introduce Chairman of the Newbury Board of Selectmen, Jeff Walker, and Eric Svahn, the Chair of the Municipal Building Committee. Good morning, gentlemen, and thanks for coming into Local Pulse.
Thanks, Joe. I'm glad to be here. It's kind of neat to look around and see how a radio station really works.
Well, hopefully it's working. We call it the luxurious WNBP studios, and
You've got a great view of the tannery.
we do have a great view of the tannery. Julie, I can't see you, so if you need to signal me, you got to get out of the shadow.
I can actually see Julia.
Okay.
Yep.
So, okay, great.
I can see it.
Julia's signaling me on mic signals. So, gentlemen, you're here today to talk about the upcoming special town meeting in Newbury. It's happening on January 31st. So why don't we get some background on what the town meeting is primarily about? There are several warrant articles, but you're really here to talk about the municipal building article.
Yeah, so I think, Joe, I could probably start that off, and I wanted to remind everyone that not only is Eric chair of the building committee, but he is also a registered architect with a lot of big things going on in Boston. So we're lucky to have him here today, and we've been tremendously lucky to have him through the whole process. We've identified a lot of different needs in Newbury, and these needs we're just beginning to address. You have to remember, Newbury is a wonderful town. We're about 26 square miles. We have a population of about 6,733. We've really come back from really negative and deficit times to doing very well now. Thanks to Tracy Blaze, we certified $1.9 million in free cash. And we're starting.
Who is Tracy Blaze for people?
Oh, excuse me. Tracy Blaze is our town administrator, and we have a great team. We have great teams all through town. We have great teams in the highway. We have great police. We have great firemen. All through our community, all our administrative folks in town hall, everyone that is involved from the Clam Commission on up through has great. We have a very symbiotic relationship with all our town boards. Now, Newbury's working pretty well, so these are the times when we really should look at visioning some of the needs and trying to repair them. Excuse me, go ahead, Eric.
The people are working well. Good morning, Joe. And
Good morning.
Thanks for inviting me in today as well. The town is running very well, and all the people that I've dealt with are doing an incredible job in town. The issue is that the facilities and those
Right.
places
Good.
that support the employees that work for our town are in need. And they've been in need, and it's been an ongoing cycle, and it will always be an ongoing cycle.
And now's the time.
And now's the time to address it.
So when you say they're in need, tell us why they're in need. What's this? What's the current status of the municipal offices and the police station?
Well, the existing town hall is an old building that's been repurposed several times in its lifetime. It started out as a Grange Hall. It didn't have it had a second floor on it. The town hall moved into the building as the town evolved and the town grows. There are new departments, there are new employees, there are new laws and regulations to follow. There's new laws about document recording and storage. And so these needs have come up over time, but the building has not advanced in order to provide the spaces for the number of employees, the paperwork, the record keeping that needs to happen. And beyond that, the building is just old, and that the town went through a whole process with the DPW barn that actually the building inspector had to condemn the building.
And actually, no one could enter the building, and they had to repair the trucks outside in the parking lot during the winter. And
You wouldn't want to be doing that in a day like today. It's pretty chilly out there.
It was worse. That was a really cold winter. And then, Eric, take us downstairs, which is the main focus of the initiative ahead of us. Take us down to the police station.
The police moved into the basement or the lower level of town hall. And so you enter on one side, which has windows, and on the other three sides, you only have little light wells.
Basement windows.
Basement windows.
It's a real basement, and they've been there a long time, Joe.
So things like sewer, Newbury is mainly a septic system,
Community,
well-driven community. Septic issues, they were having backup issues with the septic. They were having issues with leaky foundations and flooding throughout the building.
When I started this show 3.5 years ago, I never thought I'd be talking about sewer as much as we actually do here.
Oh, yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
it's a big issue, and,
Yep.
and it's a basic issue. These are foundational things.
Trash, sewer, and everything else. But
Sure.
what Eric is really, I mean, we had sewer flies when people would try to eat their lunch. The dust from upstairs, because people walking overhead would fall, so they had to actually almost eat outside. The police had really, really drastically minimized conditions in our town, and it's been there for decades. So we started to put forth the mandate to really recognize the police were probably highest, at least in my estimation. Town hall, because of the building and having to move forward anyway to phase in construction. That's why town hall went to the other side of town. And we also have needs at especially the fire station at Morgan Ave that we'll have to address as time goes on. You know, so we have certain needs. And the police, I think, has risen to the top. Don't you, Eric?
Yes, the police have risen to the top, and current law enforcement standards in terms of Massachusetts general laws of public safety requirements like CMR 105 about holding cells. There are 3 cells in that facility, but none of them can be used because none of them
Are accredited, yeah.
are accredited or meet current standards.
So what happens now if someone's arrested and they need a holding cell? Where do they go?
Well, we could talk for hours on the.
Well, they don't go through. They don't go through a Sally port because that's non-existent.
Right, and so that's half the battle is understanding the proper or minimum standards for police protection and processes that they need to go through in terms of bringing somebody into custody, bringing them into the building, booking them, holding them, and then releasing them. And there are several levels. People have deferred to the Essex Regional Plan and think that the correctional facilities in Milton are just there to pick up people at any time. It's not true. A minimal level of facilities is needed, and the station is about half of the spaces that it appropriately needs.
And what Eric spoke to really quickly too is the thought of using the regionalization of the cells and things. And you know, I'm probably not your regionalization guy, but even dispatch, for instance, I think we need, if we go forward and build our police station, we're going to need some form of dispatch. It's important to have as backup. And also, you know, people forget, but dispatch not only has it got that colloquial linkage to your town, it also puts that man in the police station. If you got to go into the police station, you don't want the door locked because no one's there. You know, so it's good that, you know, there is traditional outlooks and traditional parameters that people are so used to that, you know, change is hard. Right, Eric?
True, and Newbury is special because we have the beach. And we have Plum Island, that we have the emergency management needs.
Oh, and we have the power plant.
And the power plant.
Yeah.
And so we have 2 other entities that need to be provided for and facilities that are mission critical that have to be there.
Yep.
So the dispatch is important locally.
And actually our dispatch also, I think, is linked to the fire department because the police and fire work pretty closely in our town.
So we've kind of established. We're talking with the chairman of the Newbury Board of Selectmen, Jeff Walker, and chairman of the Municipal Building Committee, Eric Svahn. We've kind of established that there's a need.
Yes.
So what is the goal and the upcoming special town meeting on the 31st? What's going to happen? Have you identified a location for a new police station?
Yes, that was one of the first things when I came on as the Municipal Building Committee was to look at several sites, and there were about 6 or 7 sites across town. Seemed that everybody had a preferred site for 1 or 2 reasons, and so we lined up all the sites and compared sewer access, septic, cost of site development, just location in town in terms of proximity of trying to be in the center of town, and basically by vetting equally all these sites, the current Morgan Ave site that has the town hall, that has the fire protection 2 site, was the best site.
And it rose to the top. And I've always been a proponent of that site for the synergy between the 3 entities that exist there, and also, Joe, because through Newburyport, we were able to have water and sewer. And I think if you're visiting for any sort of building for the future, it's nice to have water and sewer.
So where we
Water and sewer is a good thing to have. Once again, we're talking about sewer.
and where we started was a public safety complex, which would combine a police and fire station. And the reason for thinking about that in terms of combining facilities, municipal facilities, was to share spaces. One lobby, one elevator, one set of exit stairs, one mechanical room, one electrical room, one sort of project overviews. Construction in general is an enormous undertaking. Construction in the public realm of Massachusetts, with the Massachusetts general laws of Chapter 149 and 30B for the procurement of construction
Eric, what
services.
are those? I mean, the thresholds of 1.5. What
So
does that?
over
what does that do?
$100,000 of construction cost, there is a procurement for filed subbids in Massachusetts. And then for a project that costs more than $1.5 million, there is certain laws that stipulate that you need to hire an OPM first,
OPM means?
owner's project manager. So you need to go see
And
canals.
Joe, what Eric's saying right now, it kind of takes away or takes the air out of that. Why does $1 million build such a big private house, or $2 million build such a big private office building? When you get into municipal building projects, for the reason that Eric is now telling you, the costs are exponentially higher.
We see it all the time. Mayor Holliday comes in frequently to talk about what's going on in the city of Newburyport. One of the things that we've talked about, we've just built a harbor master facility here in Newburyport, and the cost per square foot, people, exactly to your point,
blows
Jeff,
your mind.
It blows your mind because of what you're talking about, Eric, as well as the prevailing wage law, and
Yes. Yep.
all of these mandates that you must comply with. Prevailing wage law, we must pay contractors at the Boston rate in Newburyport, even though we could get it at a much reduced rate and still pay a fair amount.
And get a good building.
And get a good job done.
And we've had some local contractors say that I could put an addition on the town hall. I'll you buy the lumber, I'll do the labor, I'll put it up. It will cost us a third.
You can't do it. It's
We'd
illegal.
like to, but you can't.
Is there time for change? Is it time?
All right, so there's been a ballot vote on this project,
And it passed.
and it passed. So and things work differently in Newbury than they do in Newburyport. We have a city council and a
Yeah,
mayor.
they do.
You have a board of selectmen and town administrator and
Yep.
town meeting form of government, which I'm less familiar with, somewhat familiar, but less familiar. So the vote at the ballot box happened.
Yep.
It passed.
Yes.
Now it's necessary to go to
It
a town
failed.
meeting.
It failed once at the town meeting, and we're going.
Yeah, let's
back.
put that in the past. That's
All right.
water over the
Yep.
dam. So now it goes to town meeting.
Yes.
Yes.
And what is being presented at town meeting, and what do you hope will happen?
Let me start that, and Eric, backfill me if I'm forgetting something. We're going forward with the mimicking of the language at the ballot, and we are going to put a figure of $6.5 million on being able to build a police station and renovate town hall. And we're hoping to approach that by having synergies of common design and having one OPM, and trying to build a police station that is not minimal and is certainly adequate, but maybe English is a good language, Jeff, but fits the needs of the town and still move forward with enough money to do an appropriate renovation of town hall, because right now our folks are across town in a rented commercial building, and I'm not positive that exists in too many other places for too long in the state of Massachusetts.
Well,
where we renovate
it's
rent space.
it's meant to be temporary.
Oh, yeah.
I would
It's
expect.
to get this all done.
Right. So town meeting is where and when,
January 31st.
and where is it held?
And it's going to be at our school, Brown
Okay.
School.
At what time?
You know what? A good question. I believe it's 7 because I always think it's 7, but people better look on the website.
Okay, look on the website. And who goes to town meeting? So sometimes when we're involved in politics and we understand how government functions, we forget that some people may not participate as much, or they may be new to the area, or they may be from a city like me where I don't know that how town meeting works. So who gets to go to town meeting and vote?
I think this falls in my wheelhouse, I guess. I mean, everyone can go to town meeting that votes. I think the big thing people have to remember at town meeting is we always have a core nucleus of people that seem to go to town meeting. We also have a core nucleus of people that go to town meeting that have something that is on the warrant that they want to stand against or behind. So, I mean, some of our biggest town meetings have been when we talk about a leash law in Newbury.
Yes, as Jeff mentioned,
The dog people always turn out, Jeff. They always turn out.
with 6,733 and about 2,000, let's say just under 3,000 parcels of taxable property in town, there's about 370 to maybe 500 people that participate in the annual town meeting.
So if you go, you have a large voice.
Yes.
Yes, you do.
Because it's a small percentage of people that actually do.
Correct.
Yep. And I wish more people really realize that and you know, how important town meeting is.
So Article 2 on the warrant is about the municipal building project. And there'll be some discussion, and people have an opportunity to stand and speak for and speak against. If it turns out that the vote goes the way you hope it does, what then happens?
Well, the next steps.
You go ahead.
Okay, so the next steps would be this is the standard architectural design process for for bigger buildings. Maybe a house might take a little less, but there's a whole selection committee that needs to be formed. That selection committee has to put together an advertisement and advertise for the owner's project manager. We need to select the owner's project manager.
That actually comes before the architect, right?
Yes, and because the project is over $1.5 million, the owner's project manager must be hired first. It's a qualifications process where firms submit a package of qualifications without a bid, and we select on their experience and the team they bring forward and the people we want to work with. So then from there, regular design phases happen.
Now, that architectural firm, that team has the engineer and has the cost estimator. That's all in the team.
It has
that
a
comes
mechanical, it has a structural, electrical, plumbing, has landscape, it has the whole
So it's
package.
the whole
When we say
package.
designer, we mean the whole package of consultants that are necessary to build the building. Through that whole design phase process, through construction, if we move quickly and have the ability to do so, we're looking at possibly opening in the summer of 2019.
Well, that's sooner than I would have expected.
Yes, but
It's not
Well,
soon enough.
it's 2017 now. We kind of forget that sometimes.
It's still 2.5 years.
it's still 2.5 years. And when I was first on board, I was shocked to learn in 2012 that the first mention of this was in 2004 in the upcoming master plan update, and it was listed as the highest priority in town.
And guess what, Joe?
It's still not done.
No costs are going down.
No, they're not going down, and rates aren't going down either. And
No.
and that's an important thing to figure into the cost.
Yep.
So your bond rating, how's your bond rating?
I think our bond rating is spectacular. We're lucky. We've done some work with the USDA, and we're able to borrow money if we choose to at kind of a subsidized rate from those guys.
Even so, the bond rating in town is so good that the rates that the town may,
Yeah,
may
might-
be
might
able to
equal it,
get
yeah.
might equal or better funds or programs from the USDA.
And that once again speaks to what we've done in the last since those years when we weren't that bond rating wasn't
When it wasn't that good. All right, we've only got a minute or two left. We're talking with Chair of the Newbury Board of Selectmen, Jeff Walker, and Chair of the Newbury Municipal Building Committee, Eric Svahn. In a minute, I'll leave it to you. What do you want to leave the listeners with for the information about why you believe this is a favorable project?
Well, it's a favorable project because it must be done. If we don't do it now, we're kicking the can down the road, and it's only going to get more and more expensive. The problem is we just can't decide what to do, and we're at the beginning stages of just the essence of need. We need to get on to the next phases, and we need to get the designer and the OPM and those professionals that build these kind of facilities. And every effort will be made to minimize on cost. The projections we put out there are good projections. There's still a lot of work to be done to make them even better and more favorable for the town.
And let me throw in really quickly, our public safety people who are talking right now and our people in town hall, but especially public safety right now because we've looked at that need first. These are the people, our police and fire, that risk their lives. And, you know, when you have a non-accredited police station and you put the time and effort into training your police officers, and accreditation is a big thing. Your facility needs to be accredited when you're a police officer. And all those things just figure into trying to keep our good police officers in town and not having them move on.
The way I look at some of these projects, and I have no dog in this fight, but the way I look at these projects is when you go to work tomorrow morning, wherever you work, if you had sewer flies flying around your desk, would you want to work? Would you want to continue to work
flying
there?
in your food.
Would you want to have dust falling from above
Yep.
on your desk or your workspace? Think about the people that are doing the work that is necessary for a town to function, and if they can't do their work well, and all of those people can go work other places, there's a job market.
Right, and so as an architect, it's staggering to understand that any building that we have, basically it's about 2 to 3% cost for the construction of the facility. It's or for the design of the facility. It's about 6% for the construction of the facility, and the most expensive cost for the lifetime cost of a building is the employees. So you're talking like 90% goes to the payment of employees. If you can make a better building that facilitates a more productive work environment, you're saving money and creating
And
value.
going to get a lot more done for your town.
Correct.
Which translates to being better for the voters and better for the taxpayers.
So if you live in Newbury, January 31 is a special town meeting. It's where again is the town meeting?
Ground school.
At the-
Elementary school.
At the elementary school. January 31. There are other items on the warrant. This is, I think, the biggest item on the warrant.
Yes.
And gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in to talk about.